Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, iTunes, TuneIn, Tiki Live, Rumble, Audible, you name it. Excuse me. My new hashtag is Dr. Marissa. She's everywhere. Why? Because I want to splatter more hope and happiness on you. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K words, no Kanye talk at all on this show. Negative things are only told to set the problem and get us ready for the solution. And I get to give you some advice like this morning that I may or may not use because it is caller, commercials, compliments, and questions. And so I am Dr. Marissa, your host that is hashtag positively opinionated. And I'm so glad that you joined me this morning. I am back from San Francisco. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's spotlight on Marissa Peer, who has been helping me release that weight that has been keeping me from dating. And I know I look okay in clothes, but I often look in the mirror and say, man, it's a good thing you have clothes on. But I am grateful to her. And so hopefully you got some tips from her yesterday on that show. And then Friday was the Breastival repeat that if you hopefully you tuned in yesterday and enjoyed the show called Conversation About the Boobs, or Conversation About the Girls. And I am, excuse me, going to start today the normal way, which is to invite you to take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. Sam and I are practicing the gospel of Nike this morning. Just do it. He's not feeling very well. And I broke 2 toes before I made the drive up to my daughter's graduation at UC Davis this weekend. So my body is not really happy with me, but we're going to make it through. And if you are eyeballing me, and I do see eyeballs, so please go in the chat, say good morning. Tell me I'm going to be okay. Sam's going to be okay. And we're going to have a great time today because I have a great question. I don't think I've ever really addressed divorce. Some of you know that I paid quite a bit in that divorce. And so I had a caller question when I was speaking at a mastermind last week about, what do you do when your husband is being a donkey? So that's the question of the day. So don't go away. That's our show. If you have a compliment for anyone, or if you have a commercial and you'd like to share your product, service, or gift that is uniquely yours on the show, then please do go to the chat, let me know, and we'll put you on. All right, that's today's show, number 717. But who's counting? And are you ready for your bite? I have talked Sam into doing his gratitudes with me as usual, even though he's not feeling well. I do know that once I finish this exercise, I'm going to feel better. So here we go. I'll start. Sam, you can chime in. Here go our 8 gratitudes. I'm grateful that I can feel better, with the proper use of medication and not abusing it to alleviate pain, because Lord knows my body is in pain.
I am grateful for air conditioning in my house. Hope you are.
Good one. Yeah, did I tell you that? Oh, I haven't told you. I don't think I've talked to you since I left for graduation. But it was so hot at UC Davis. On Friday's graduation, 7 people went to the ambulance. So the leadership sent my daughter, CC'd me an email saying that they're canceling the walking portion, which is the most meaningful part of graduation, right? Is when you walk across the stage. And they said they were canceling it because the heat wave was supposed to continue on Saturday. And I said, Sarah, I'm going to wiggle my fingers and just set the intention that you're going to get to walk. And guess what? She got to walk. And I'll show you a little clip of that later. But yeah, that's how hot it was. 105, I believe, in my car. So it was hot. So yes, grateful for air conditioning. And I'm grateful that I got to be there for my daughter's beautiful graduation. I'm so proud of her. And I actually got to listen to all the great accolades. And you'll get to hear that as well from her department that gave her an outstanding performance commendation. And you, second gratitude?
I'm grateful for going to my friend's graduation dinner to hang out with her family and friends again.
Oh, nice. Where did he graduate from?
UCR.
Great. All UC family. And I am grateful for not gaining weight while I was away. Huge thing, considering I did, do a little, old-fashioned snacking. And I couldn't believe I was scared to get on the scale this morning, but I did not gain weight. In fact, I lost a tiny little bit. So I'm very grateful for that.
I'm grateful for not being severely sick. Just kind of sick.
And I'm grateful that I don't take wellness for granted, and that when I'm not feeling well, it's good contrast to appreciate my health even more.
I like how you got back and forth. I'm grateful for the easy medication that or not
Beautiful. And that's it. The 8 gratitudes in the morning. We're going to we're going to pretend that we had our whole day. And tonight, before we go to bed, we're going to know what to do, which is the bottom of the bun. And that is self-appreciation. So what do you appreciate about yourself? Why don't you start, Sam? And we'll do 8 the reverse way.
I appreciate that I'm not lazy.
And I appreciate that I'm not lazy. I'm letting you do the work now. Oh, you're not going to let me tag? I appreciate that I apologize relatively easily. Technically, that didn't count, but we're going to go with it. I'm going to cut myself some slack.
I appreciate that I don't have a high temper.
I appreciate that I'm doing better this generation in parenting than my parents did. Not that I'm blaming them. They did the best that they could with what they knew and did better than their parents. And I do know better, and I am doing better as a parent.
I appreciate how I try to grow every day.
I appreciate how I am recognized for helping people and happiness. Last one.
I appreciate myself.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate that I don't have to give myself reason to get up in the morning. Get up.
And I appreciate that I have a sense of style. It's my way of being creative with my look. Yay. That is 8 gratitudes and 8 appreciations. We have now taken a bite for breakfast, our gratitude sandwich, and hopefully you played along. Thank you, Sam, for playing along with me. And that will be my compliment. I'd like to compliment Sam on his really great attitude. Even when he doesn't feel tip-top form, he just really is a very willing and easygoing and self-aware and self-improving guy. So I'm really grateful for you. Yeah, there's your compliment. And you have to compliment not me, but compliment somebody else. Maybe someone at the station.
Okay. Yeah. I compliment Mark for being able to get this job. Technically I wasn't qualified, but give me a shot, and I think he helped me out, and I'm helping him out.
Wonderful. Well, shout out to Mark. He does do a lot. I mean, he does everything, and he's been doing it for a long time. And so let's give Mark a little applause. Watch it at Mark. What is that? 17 on the on the show. All right. So let's. You know what? Let me just play for you before we go on break. Wasn't really planning on it, but do you want to? I know you want to see my daughter. I put a little video together of her, walking across the stage and all that. So this is my show, so I get to do things that. Let's see if we can share this screen. Let me start this. Okay, there's the full screen and escape. Oops, I may not be able to do this kit. Oh, it's not happening, is it? Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Chrome. So much for that. Cancel and share Chrome tab. Here we go. Video. All right. And share. There. Do you see it now? There we go.
Been our lab since I believe her freshman year, perhaps the first quarter of her freshman year. She displayed such an interest in the material in my class that we knew we needed to get her working as an RA right away. At some point during her freshman year, we got a little ready to do some manuscript that extensions boiled down to. We could somehow find somebody to 10 or 100 hours away that we could consider also be as a forward religious bond as a way.
That was 4 years ago.
And Sarah came in and saved a project, and over the last several years, she has saved project after project for us.
Isn't she adorable?
This year on jealousy and attachment style, and that's my friend who knows her saying where she said, Sarah is an individual.
That was her idea to put that one together. That's her professor talking.
It was true that the greatest joy of my first year of graduate school never share. So thank you very much, Sarah. We are going to miss you very much.
Isn't that cool? And here's, huh? Hopefully you're seeing this. Oh, good. I thought you said something. Look at how many people. This is just like part of the graduation. In her class, there were 954 in the psych department that graduated.
What is the graduation of for like 2 days. And
Well, they did. This is just half. Believe it or not.
Miguel Saavedra.
That's her boyfriend. She's going to kill me if she finds out I played this on the air. That's my older daughter screaming. And then I got to sit in this tent.
Daughter.
Yeah.
Graduated from double major, Chinese and psychology. I'm proud of her. Yesterday was
There she is.
Rosemary Espinosa.
so proud.
Orange Young.
There she is.
Sarah Wade Carpenter.
Yay!
See the peace sign?
The peace sign. I'm so proud. Oh, I love my life.
That's her roommate, Vanessa.
Vanessa Cheyenne.
Beautiful, covered, shady place while everybody else is in the sun. This is what happens when you break your 2 toes before you come up. And just give you a little taste of the festivities here.
video keys.
Amazing daughters. This one graduated today. This one didn't get to really graduate during COVID, but it's all good vicariously. So proud. Best thing in the world is to be a mom.
Did you like that?
Yeah, cute.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so proud. Obviously, she was recognized. She's in the top 2% of her class with that departmental citation and outstanding performance. So I'm just like so proud. You can only imagine as a Tiger mom. And honestly, it was not my idea for her to do double major Chinese and psychology, all her idea, just as it was not my idea for my older one to apply and get in and finish Cornell during the pandemic. So I am blessed beyond measure, but I'm so glad that I got to introduce both my daughters to you. And I'm sorry, both of them have boyfriends. I knew you were going to ask. Trust me, I would have set you up if they didn't have boyfriends. How's that? Wonderful. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to be talking about divorce lemonade. How do you handle the angry, crazy, bringing out the worst in people time called divorce? And I've never talked about this in any detail. Not that I'm going to, do a whole rant about my WasBand, but I did have this question come up in the Mastermind talk when I was speaking to Eric Swanson's group. He's the guy that got knighted in Las Vegas and invited me to be a speaker on his Mastermind. So that question came up and didn't have time to answer it, but I will have time today. So I told Erin that I would be doing that. She's going to listen to it later. She has meetings all morning. She was going to join me, but she couldn't. But you know me, I have so much trouble talking when there's nobody there to talk to. Sarcasm is another service I offer. All right, we'll be right back with more of Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Go. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. For the next 28 minutes, we will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Just follow the sound of my voice and move with me as I guide you through this ancient wisdom through New Thought practice. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, I can promise you that it will impact all health vortexes. Body, mind, spirit, soul. You will be in a place of balance and inner peace the way we were created. 谢谢.
Be my partner, dance.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, and thank you, I doubled my subscriptions this last month. I don't know what's going on, but I'm happy with it. Good news is catching on. Solution is catching on, and I'm grateful for that. I'm now over 254,000 views, Sam, which is like really cool, and I'm grateful for that. And when you free subscribe, you'll also get my recent interview with the Temptations. And I'm so excited to tell you that this Friday, his grandson, Otis Williams' grandson, Trace Austin, will be coming live in studio for a chat with me. And I'm so looking forward to that and introducing him to you and his music. So he did not fall far from his grandfather's tree. As well as you saw from the commercial, every last Saturday, I teach the Chinese yoga, and I think Polly's going to try to come down, right? This is the 25th. Sorry, not Polly, Sam. Well, you can drag Polly too, to come to class on the beach so that you can spend the whole day down here in Long Beach on the water, which is just beautiful. At 10 a.m., I teach my Chinese yoga with forms from Tai Chi and Qigong. No experience necessary. The only rule is no critical thinking. So you cannot criticize yourself or me, and just grateful that your body can move during this moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. So that's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday on June 25th. As well, I have my free Get Happy orientation that happens every last Friday of the month, the day before. So the 24th of June, I will see you at 7 p.m. All of these offerings that are free and by donation at drmarissa.life, drmarissa.life. So you can check me out there. All right. So here we go. The question of the day is, how do I deal with a soon-to-be WasBand? And that's my term that I really should have trademarked. One of my guests, unfortunately, took that and ran with it. So people attribute that to her. But actually, I did that a long time ago. And I'm grateful that it still brings laughs. WasBand is my term for somebody who was your husband. And the question came from Erin. Let's see, her kids were 10, 11 and 15 when he left. It was disgraceful and shocking at the end of 2013. And I can count on one hand the amount of dinners or sleepovers he did with our kids while living 5 minutes away these last 8 years. It was me 24/7, and my youngest turned 18 last year, where I was finally able to fly, etc. I'm always looking for new ways to help my kids, who are now 19, 20, and 24, to build their self-esteem as best I can. So let's launch into that. And I'm going to give you advice, most of which I used. Some of it I didn't use. I wish I had. But first of all, just to acknowledge that there's a lot of people that feel shame around getting a divorce. Not so much in this generation now, but I know the generation, and I am ageless, but the generation before me, and certainly before that, divorce was something that was very frowned upon, especially if you are religious. Most religions also have a don't ask, don't tell policy around divorce. You shouldn't get a divorce. What God blessed you or decreed for you in a marriage till death do us part. And so if you do get a divorce, it's a stigma and it's negative and you feel guilt and shame. I know that I definitely felt that. I remember when I was about to get married, my auntie, my mom's sister, said to me, you know, there's never been a divorce in our family. So if you're going to marry this guy who I don't approve of, that's fine, but you cannot divorce him ever. And that was what I was told before I got married. And so I'm sure that it led to me, you know, staying in a situation. I tried to leave 6 times, and the guilt, and also the biggest guilt was, what is it going to do to the kids? So if this is sounding a little familiar and you want to get your friends who might be going through a divorce right now, the rest of this situation, I'm going to be talking about solution and possible tools that you can use to comfort yourself and also comfort your children that are going through this big change. So the first Happy 88 tool that I'd like to share is that if you are feeling bad about your divorce, don't. And that's a strong statement. Obviously, I am happily divorced. But I'm a big believer that anything you do to yourself to shame and blame and make yourself feel bad is not productive. Now, let me balance that out. Am I advocating that anytime you hit a bump in your relationship with your significant other, that you should leave and file right away and do it? My needs are the most important. I can't stand this relationship, so I'm going to leave. That's also the extreme that I am not advocating at all. So let me balance, because I'm all about balance. There are those who stay way too long, especially when there's abuse, verbal, emotional, physical. And there are some that don't try to work it out at all. So I'm not talking about those two extremes. I am talking about balance and where is that the centered me in that process. So the rule that I have, and when I coach couples, and when I coach people that come and really want a divorce, I say, I'm not going to tell you which way is better or not, when to hold and when to fold, but I will tell you the one question that I ask myself, and I asked my clients, and this is the question that I pose, or that I did for myself in my situation. I had to say, did I do everything I could possibly do in my power, in my control, that was inside my hula hoop? Did I do everything I possibly could to make this marriage work? And if I can look in the mirror and say yes, and if I can look in the mirror and say yes, and if I can look in my daughter's faces, in their eyes, and say that beyond a shadow of a doubt, then I can leave. But until I can say that, I can't leave. So therapy, couples therapy is definitely a tool that, a lot of us don't know how to manage relationships. We're not taught in school. We were not taught at home except what not to do. So having some help is absolutely important. That's why I do couples coaching. I don't call it, mine is not therapy because I'm not licensed on purpose. I do believe, I'm not saying that MSW, I'm sorry, I'm not into my terms, but those who are clinically trained to do this work, fabulous. I'm obviously of the mind that coaches are important. Not everybody needs one single way to do anything. So depending on your situation, you can find multiple people, whether it's coaches or licensed therapists, to help you, whatever helps. So I do advocate going to someone else to help try to break some of those barriers in communication that have built up as a pattern over time, to see if it's really warranted to have a dissolution of the marriage. So in my particular case, after 9.2 years, I used to call it a sentence. My sentence was 9.2 years, but then I did the work in my Out of Hatred into Forgiveness in my book. And now I just say I was married 9.2 years. And in those years, it was a struggle. And it wasn't until I realized that I'm one of the, because I'm one of the 7 out of 10 who've had childhood trauma, it was natural to pick a bad relationship. That's what we do. That's all we know is difficult, angry, codependent relationships. So, and codependency, short definition for those of you who are not familiar with that term says, I'm only happy when you're happy. So it's my job to make you happy. And if I can't make you happy, I'm failing. And I don't believe that's a healthy relationship. Everybody has to take responsibility for feeling good on their own. And it's always that order. If you can't feel good, then you can definitely not be a happy partner in a happy relationship. So it took 6 times for me to get to that healthy place to know that this relationship was not working. And if you're in a relationship and you're focused on the 20% of that person that is horrible, I want you to do a 30-day test and just focus on the 80% of that person when they're good. You can get back to appreciation. If that still doesn't work, then go to therapy. If that still doesn't work, then, mediation is probably the best. Although in my situation, that wasn't an option. I tried it. I went to the United Fathers of America thinking that would help. And then the mediator actually pulled me aside and said, you're going to need a lawyer because this is not going to work. And he had asked for full custody because he was the primary when I was working, because that was the decision we sort of made. Because of that, he was fighting for full custody. And so that's my story. And I lost quite a bit of money because I was the sole breadwinner. And unfortunately, millions later, my lawyer said to the judge, "But Your Honor, that's not fair." And His Honor looked at me straight in the face and said, "Well, you wanted equal rights." So that was a bitter pill to swallow, but I am grateful. I don't at all have any regrets on the whole process because I have 2 beautiful children that I wouldn't have had without him. As well, it, as usual, chiseled me into the person I am. And I like myself 88% of the time. So no regrets there. And that is, let's see, it is what it is the tool. If you find yourself in the divorce, the tendency is to blame. The tendency is to say it's all their fault. The tendency is to say, if he wasn't, then I would be blankety blank. And the reality is it takes two to make a good marriage, and it takes two to make a bad marriage. So once you take responsibility, and I had to take responsibility and recognize that I chose this man, I had the warning signs, but I was damaged myself. So I was growing as, going through that relationship and understanding that, because my mom called me fat, ugly, and clumsy growing up, that I held that belief system about myself. So I chose a guy who would introduce me as obese to people behind my back, only to find out later when I spoke to them, they would say, "You're not obese." And I was thinner than I am now. So I recognize and own that I chose this man, and I am not sorry at all. And the reason, here's another tool in terms of relationships. I think religion and certain politics have convinced us that if you get a divorce, it's wrong. And then thanks to movies like Jerry Maguire, we are saying, there's only one, right? You complete me. So a couple things from Jerry Maguire. One is the implicit BS belief system that we're not enough just on our own, because you need someone to complete you. Okay, so you're not whole unless you have someone. That's one BS. The second BS is that there's only one soulmate, right? And you spend your entire life looking for that one soulmate. And once you get married, that's it. And you're going to grow old together, hold hands, and nothing ever is going to go wrong. And let's say that person dies or you get a divorce. That's it. You only got one chance. And that's bullshitaki. It is my BS, my belief system that makes me feel better, is that everyone has a book of romance. And some chapters are shorter, some chapters are longer, but it's a book of romance. And who says that in this thing called life, we can't have more than one soulmate? Who says that we can't have one really meaningful relationship? Again, not going to the extreme so that you have 1,000 chapters. Let's not go to that extreme. But can you have, more than one relationship? And when that relationship breaks down, can you not say it was their fault? Can you not say that they were bad? Is it possible to say, and this is what I would say to Erin, I know you're focused on the ways in which he's not a good father, but it is my job to focus on the things that make me feel better. When I'm focused on someone and all the wrong they do, I feel bad. If I focus instead on all the ways in which he was a good dad, which is what I do for in my situation, there's plenty of reasons to condemn him for what they're doing now. And divorce, like weddings and funerals, have the tendency to bring out the absolute worst in people. And I can tell you that that's where I didn't follow. I got sucked into bad behavior because I was triggered. The swearing at me, the killing of my 40-gallon tank of fish, the glue on my car, the posters that were posted up in Seal Beach, Asian woman seeking Asian or Caucasian woman, and there was a rumor going around that I had naked women on my website. And it was a horrific time. And, people are hurt. People are resentful. People behave badly during divorce. There's no question about it. I don't know any divorce that brought out, I do know a few amicable, but that is not the majority. The majority is we get very sad and very mad, and we don't do well and they don't do well. And so in order to mitigate that for the kids, so let's talk about that situation. We think that it's better to stay in a bad marriage for our children. And I've heard that over and over and over again. Kids aren't stupid. They know that things are not, that are not kosher in kangaroo company. I don't even know what that expression was, but kids know. And so again, go get help first and see if you can't fix the relationship so you don't disrupt your children's lives. At the same time, everybody has their own path. And my kids, you saw the graduation. I have to say that divorce was not fun for them. If they had a choice, if I asked them if you had a choice on a parallel universe to have gone through that, at this point, and when they were younger, they would say, no, I hated it. It hurt. At the same time, it developed in them gifts, qualities, and abilities that they could have not done otherwise. And I know that both of my daughters' strength is from that, living through that situation. And it was it was not easy because I was, like Erin is, focused on what he was not doing or what he was doing when it was, time with him. And I know a lot of moms or dads are extremely disappointed when that parent doesn't step up to the plate and co-parent. We didn't have anything close to that. I went to Kids First at Chapman University. It's an award-winning program to help give my tools to my kids. I highly recommend that if you're going through divorce. It gives kids the space and the time and the tools to deal that they know that they're not the reason their parents split up. But at the same time, I would say my kids are mixed reviews on that, but I know that it made me feel better knowing that I gave them a program to help. So that's one that I would recommend. There's so many resources out there. But in self-care, how do you deal with a husband or husband, soon to be husband, who is being a donkey? The first step is to stop looking at him. I remember I used to get so upset when kids came back from their time with, I would set myself up by asking them, so, what did you do with your dad? And it's like, that was the stupidest question in the world, because if I did that, no matter what they told me, I'd be pissed off, so don't ask what happened. Don't react to what happened, because what happens when it's his time is none of your business. So that's one answer for anybody going through the divorce that's being driven nuts by their soon-to-be husband. The second thing is, everybody does the very best that they can. If they could do better, they would, but they can't. And in Erin's situation, where the dad is absolutely not stepping up to the plate and not being a father and helping raise the kids. Oh, well, the lemonade or the silver lining is you don't need to work with them. That was the one thing. I didn't have to co-parent. He didn't want to co-parent. So I could do whatever I wanted when the kids were with me. And that's what I fought for. And I got the 50% custody. And again, silver lining, all the crap that he pulled during the divorce helped that decision for me to get 50% custody. So I'm even grateful for all the mean things he did, because that helped. So so by not co-parenting, I was able to instill my taking a bite of a gratitude sandwich every day with the kids. And when I picked them up, I would instill the practice of, it's the 5-minute report out. So I would tell them, to talk about school. So when he picked them up, none of my business. Your kids will develop self-esteem with just one parent. Your kids do not need two parents to build self-esteem. And building their self-esteem is their journey. I think we all forget that kids have an internal compass that leads them to joy as well. So I think as parents, sometimes we overemphasize, or we have this misconception that it's all up to us to raise children's self-esteem. But, life sometimes has difficulties, and that difficulties chisels into everyone to develop self-esteem. They know from being raised by you what is esteemable acts and what is not. So just because you only have one parent does not mean that that child is damaged, that their self-esteem is damaged. That's an old BS that keeps you from being happy and also gets you focused on what they're doing over there. It's all 88% of the time. If you have the kids 88% of the time, which it sounds like in your case, Erin, then what you're doing with them is enough. Doesn't really matter whether he has them or doesn't have them. They're going to recognize this. You may not want to point that out when they're young, because no matter how much of a dickwad, I don't think that's against the FCC rules. No matter how much of a dickwad some people are, and you can't help that, but you don't have to point it out. And that's the other advice that I was not 100% in following. I was 88% good. The more you can let, gospel according to Frozen, let it go, and not point out that one more time he disappointed them, one more time he didn't keep the date, one more time, that does more damage to the child than the actual act. That's my opinion. But I know that parents sometimes are so mad they cannot help themselves, and they, want their kids to understand why you left. I know that was me. I wanted them to understand why you could not stay in the marriage. And you know what? I may never get my kids to understand from my point of view, and that has to be okay. I have to stop explaining to them. They'll figure it out. They'll figure out what's going on when they're older. And so that is definitely the tool that I want to emphasize, that as much as you can, everybody does the very best they can do. If they could do better, they would, but they can't right now. But I can do better and not slam them, not point out what they're not doing, not, have that, oh, I'm so sorry that, you're not being co-parented. I'm not saying that you would say that out loud, but sometimes, nonverbal expression or your own mood. So my coaching advice always to parents who have their kids the majority of the time is to just have fun. Just as much as possible, take the focus away from what that person is doing or not doing, and just center in yourself. Am I having a good time with my kids 88% of the time? How's that for the tools? I didn't get a chance to ask Sam. Well, Sam's not married and he doesn't have kids, so it kind of doesn't apply to you, right?
Yeah, good.
Do you have any reactions to that advice?
I'm going to take the advice. I think it's good to hear this before I get in a marriage or, in that situation. So.
Yeah, good. So I'm gonna spend the last 5 minutes now. If you're not married, and that would be you, and you are sorting through, now that we're out of the pandemic, you can actually date again and not be afraid of contracting a deadly virus. I've had the question come up, how do I start dating? Do I have to do an app? Do I have to go to a bar again? And I'm in that situation. I'm single again, or not again. I've been single for a little while, but now that I'm getting my body where I'm not going to be embarrassed about it. Getting naked is not going to be a bad thing or a scary thing. Here's my advice that I sometimes use on relationships. And to app or not to app is, it doesn't matter whether you use an app or not. I do know that apps are an easy way of putting single people in front of your face by the swiping. I do know, though, that it also encourages you to judge by looks, which aren't always the best. And I'll be the first to admit that that's my Achilles heel. I see tall, dark, and handsome, and I don't get to know them necessarily outside of the way they look. And it is an entire package thing to get to know. I will use Don Miguel Ruiz, a friend of mine, the author of The 4 Agreements. I like that heart. Thank you, whoever put that just up there. I know that I have the experience. The great thing about having a divorce is I know what I don't want. And when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And that's Abraham Hicks' law of attraction. So now I don't focus on what I don't like. I focus on what I do like. And I don't have a list anymore. I do know that having some things in common or things to do together is very important. So if you know you like biking, join a bike group. There's a lot of stuff on Meetup happening again, on Facebook events. Go out and do something that you like to do. So that's that goes off of Don Miguel's. If you want a dog, don't get a cat. So don't pick someone who has nothing in common with you and then complain that they won't do stuff with you. Pick someone who does stuff, who does like doing stuff with you. So there's a one Happy 88 tool for picking. The other is, are you a match to what you want? Are you a match to what you want? It's one of my best questions, because anytime I say, I want this, and this, then I have to ask myself, am I a match? Like, can I say I am 88% generous? I want a generous guy. Am I 88% generous? I want a positive guy. Am I 88% positive? That one I say definitely yes. Sam, what are you looking for? Like, give me the top 3 things that you are looking for in a woman.
I would say, in terms of like matching me, it would have to be, financially, religiously, and like career. What's that word for it?
Aspiring.
Yeah.
Okay. As you. Okay. So that's pretty straight. Now here's the catch. Now, we've talked before, you're not where you are financially, right? And you're not where you are career-wise. So are you a match to what you want? If you're wanting someone who's already established, then that's not a match. And this is a great example of where people, they're so focused. And I'm not saying you. I know you would pick someone who is sort of in the same place. Like, they know who they are. Yeah, you want it. There you go. So that's different than where they are financially. Do you get that? And career-wise.
As long as we have the same values, we see the same.
Okay. Yeah. So do you see how I switched your criteria?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is exactly what Don Miguel's talking about, is that we tend to pick not matching, right? And also have expectations of others that we don't apply to ourselves. And that also gets us into trouble. And I see we're out of time, but I hope that was helpful. And this is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room during the pandemic that we're almost out of, blessing you and wishing you to have the best relationships ever and have the best day ever here on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. We'll see you tomorrow.